Welcome to Cosmic Channels. Open minds on cosmic lines. To call in to future episodes of Cosmic Channels, follow Cosmic Channels on YouTube and Twitch, and tune in live Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. The number is 1-833-703-0424. The Cosmic Channels are open.
It's funny. I had always thought that was pre-recorded. I didn't know you did it live until right now.
I thought you had a pre-recording.
Yeah, but I don't have it on the show.
He will when he fucking edits it and cleans it up, makes himself sound all fancy.
Anyways, I'm BJ Cheeks.
Are we going with our nicknames? Am I Plasma?
Who's Plasma?
You can be whatever you
I thought
want.
you were Zeltron. Who's Plasma?
Oh, I thought you were going by that shirt that someone made. Okay, I'm Zeltron.
That BJ Cheeks is not on the... I mean, Cheeks is.
It was Cheeks. We added the BJ.
And that's Dan and Andrew because they can't pick it up. Welcome to season 2 of Cosmic Channels. We've made a little bit of changes. If you've been following our Facebook and whatnot, we've posted some things to help you organize the story. Also some scheduling. So in season 2, what we want to hear when you're calling us is we want to, the 5 W's in the how, who, what, where, when, why, and how. We want to know, who are you? Where are you calling from? When did this happen to you? How old were you? Stuff like that. Where did it happen? What did you see specifically? Why was it significant? Why did it impact you? Why did it seem something out of the normal? And how did it make you feel? Those are the things we want to know. We have a schedule now up. We are going to be taking specific weeks where we do specific topics. Next week, Sunday, February 7th, we're going to be talking about specifically ghosts and paranormal stories. So we want only ghosts and paranormal stories. Sunday the 14th, pairing with Netflix release of the Elisa Lam documentary miniseries coming out on February 10th, we want to talk about your thoughts on the Elisa Lam case. So Sunday the 14th, we're going to be revisiting the Elisa Lam case. We want to know your theories and what you think happened. Sunday, February 21st, we're going to be doing UFOs and aliens. And Sunday the 28th, much like tonight, we're doing open lines, any topics. So the last Sunday of every month, we're going to be doing open lines, any topics. That's what we're doing tonight. So call 1-833-703-0424. We're primed and ready to hear your stories. Let's go.
First call of season 2 coming up. Hello, Cosmic Channels.
Hey guys, what's going on? You hear me okay?
Yeah, thanks for staying on the line for so long.
No worries. It's actually Hermes Auslander, Braden. What's going on?
What's going on, buddy?
Not too much, man. I got a couple stories for you. I want to leave it up to you guys as to what we want to talk about tonight, since it's open lines. I got personal.
Why don't you plug your podcast too, really quickly?
Podcast, the Scuttlebutt Podcast. We're on all major platforms.
Check them out.
Appreciate that. Like I said, what are we talking about, guys? What do you guys want to hear?
Open lines tonight.
So anything, your favorite story, we'll take any story tonight.
Well, being a fan of the show, how receptive are you guys to shadow people or sleep paralysis? How are we feeling about that tonight?
Well, it's open lines. So let's hear it.
All right. So goes back probably 5 years or so. So I was about 22 or so, and had the old paralysis, and not being a stranger to it, I kind of had that old let's take this slowly, let's wiggle the toes, let's get out of this, and had the big-eyed, big-brained looking down at me right off the corner of the bed, if you're looking off like the right side of the bed, and just sitting there terrified, hoping that it goes away, knowing that it's probably not really there, and having the old heart racing, and eyes like trying to wiggle, trying to get out of it, and halfway through it, and knowing that nothing's going to happen, having it reach over me, having the eyes stare down at me, kind of like inching closer and closer, as it commonly does with sleep paralysis and the old shadow man. Just sort of turned into, you know, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this. I don't know if Dan's ever experienced this, but where you see something sort of like the shirt off in the corner or in the closet, where it's the monster, it's the goblin, it's the hand, and all of a sudden it's just a shirt. I don't know if you guys ever seen that, but mine was just the curtains. It was the curtains next to me on the window next to me. And it kind of like solidified the whole sleep paralysis that I haven't actually had since. That was just like, yeah, it's that whole lizard brain playing the tricks on us, you know, with our environment not quite being awake yet. And I don't know if what your guys' thoughts on the whole like lizard brain in terms of like our perception of aliens or sleep paralysis, or maybe even the paranormal. You know, is it like evolutionary? Is it kind of like just a byproduct of that? Like I said, what do you guys think on all that?
Like the actual sleep paralysis phenomenon itself?
Well, I mean, sure. There's a lot of overlap, right, with sleep paralysis. You know, like a lot of people see similar things, and it got me thinking with that last time I had it, was like looking back on it now, it's like, is that like a common thing that we all sort of share based on like our evolution, or like, I don't know, is it, I don't know. I've always been curious as to like where all that stuff sort of comes from.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when we go back to like lizard brain, you're taking it back to fight or flight. So your sympathetic nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system. And I have a hard time believing that, because like a lot of people who have insomnia, they suffer from what's called hypervigilance, which is like a form of anxiety where you're unable to sleep because you're fucking on. You know what I mean? So you're in that state of fight or flight. You're fully engaged, and you have those are symptoms of something, let's say an anxiety disorder, PTSD, something like that. Whereas I'm not sure, like your body is preparing itself, you know what I mean, and protecting itself. And I don't know what your body would be preparing you for by putting you into sleep paralysis. I feel like it would be like preparing you to fucking die. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you're dead. You can't move. Here's the line in the woods. You're terrified of it, so you just freeze, and it game fucking over. Fainting goat, basically. Yeah. Like, just, you know what I mean? So for as far as like lizard brain, I don't know, but it's when everybody's having these similar fucking experiences, totally leaves you to think that there's like some type of, you know, I don't know, what, like a hive mind type situation? Like, I don't know. Something more, yeah. It's bizarre.
It is definitely weird that we all experience the same thing. There's one quick question I had for you, Hermes, is you described eyes seeing down. Did you get a distinct shape, or was it just like eyes coming out of blackness for you?
No, it was definitely the very classic tall, slender, oval, I want to say, or almond-shaped head with just two black staring. I would say off gray with the shape, and then just piercing black for the eyes. It was just the two eyes. I wouldn't say any mouth or any other distinctive features. It was, again, the very classic slender gray, if you will. And growing up, I always had that, my parents always tell that weird, you know, those weird stories of the kid waking them up, or just like sitting next to their bed staring at them, saying that, you know, they're coming for me, or, you know, they're here, that type of deal. And again, just chalking it up to, again, just so I can sleep tonight, and and chalking it up to rationale. So it's like, yeah, it's just the sleep paralysis. It's just the lizard brain, you know, talking to me from the ancestral void, that type of deal, you know. But again, you just, you know, when I hear Andrew say the fight or flight, and so, you know, like the insomnia parts of it, like I've always suffered from insomnia most of my life. And I guess to answer like my theory on the fight or flight aspect of it is like why the brain would respond that way. More than likely, it's probably our biology being, you know, reacting to society, right? Like society is more of a new thing. and we're not used to having like comfortable beds and like a safe space and, you know, warmth and all these things, when our brains, you know, biologically speaking, evolved to, you know, be on the lookout, be on that fight or flight when, you know, there is a saber-toothed tiger right outside on that tree line, you know, and we're not used to having this, you know, safety. So more than likely, I feel like it's a lot of you know, like a symptom of this newer bit. But that's, again, just so I can sleep tonight. So let's just agree that that's that's what it is.
Yeah, that or some people slip past that, and you're actually seeing into a different reality, and these are the fucking demonic overlords watching over you as you sleep. Take that to bed.
Yeah, wouldn't you like that?
Anyways, hey, thanks for the call, Hermes, and everyone check out this Scuttlebutt podcast. I was on the most recent episode.
Oh, no big deal. No shameless plug there. There you go.
No big deal.
Check it out. All right, thanks, brother. We're gonna move on with the lines tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
Okay,
have a good one.
Okay, have a good night. Boom. Season 2 kicks off.
Little shadow man.
Shadow. Lou Bega's out.
Lurking above.
Kicks off right where we left off.
Out for revenge. Lou Bega's out for revenge. All right. Boom. Just like that. Second call. Hello, Cosmic Channels.
Hey, this is awesome. My name's Costa. I'm from Florida.
From Florida. General Florida, or can you give us close to a city?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, right on.
Big enough.
Nice. Jags fan.
Right on, man. What you call in with tonight?
Well, if we got time, I got 2 quick ghost stories. One I experienced personally, and one was from my stepmother.
Let's hear your personal one first.
All right. So this one took place, I'd say, I was probably like in middle school in the beginning of middle school. And me, my brother, my sister, we all went to a pilgrimage retreat. You know, just drop your kids off. You guys sleep in bags on the floor in a room where, you know, in a place that all the pilgrims slept. Go out, do everything that they did.
Right.
You know, we churned butter. Like, you know, just learning. You know, it was a little learning thing for us kids for the weekend. So we went to, what was it? It was right across the street from where we were sleeping. We went to their factory. You know, they explained, okay, yeah, this is where the pilgrims started working, and, you know, I believe it was like a cotton mill. And they said, like, it was getting dark, and they said, if you guys want, you guys can come to the graveyard. It's right down the road.
No thanks.
And,
we're good.
Yeah, at the time, I was a little bitch. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I was just like, graveyard, dark. Nah, I'm going back to the house. Be safe.
Of course.
You mean you say little bitch or you say smart? Sorry, I think you're getting those two things confused.
Listen, honestly, now I would definitely go to that grave site. Call me too curious or whatever, but I definitely would go. But back then, I was just like, no, I'm good. Because I've always just believed in ghosts. Like, even when I was young, I've always even if I didn't see a ghost, I was just like hoping, like, okay, because it would just be something cool. But I was always also like, y'all could leave me alone. Right? So, you know, I go with a group of kids. You know, we go back, and eventually everybody else comes back, and they sit us all down, tell a story before we all go to bed. I honestly cannot remember what story it was, but I do remember the layout of how we were all kind of in the rooms. Like, where I laid down, there was a nice clear eyesight to basically through it. There's a divider in between this whole large room, and like in between that divider, I can see the staircase at the end of the room.
Right.
And that's where the bathroom is. And that light was on all night, you know, just in case one of us kids need to get up. So, you know, I go to sleep. They tell the story and everything. We all, you know, good night, go to sleep. And I wake up. At this point, I don't know what time it is. All I know, it's late. Everybody's asleep except for me. And I wake up because I'm like, all right, I got to go to the bathroom. So I'm looking, I get up, I grab my glasses, and I look to, you know, make sure the light's on. And I see the light in the hallway. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me get out my sleeping bag. I start to unzip my sleeping bag. And as I'm looking at the staircase, I see somebody walking down. And the more I look, like I just like freeze, and I'm just staring. I'm like, is that a counselor or you know, a parent or something? Like, and the more I look, my heart starts to beat faster and faster, because I'm just like, I think I can see through this thing. And so it just slowly, and I kind of remember she was kind of just, you know, an average height. It was a female, shoulder length hair, and her outfit was, you know, like what the old pilgrims would wear at the time.
Right.
So I'm just staring, and I'm looking, and I'm just like this is not real. Like, no way. And she kind of looks at me. Now, she didn't look scary, but to me, I was just scared, just for the simple fact is, I don't know what the fuck's going on. And she just looks at me, so I quickly cover my head with my sleeping bag covers and everything. And I'm like, I go to look back, and she's gone, nothing there. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna hold on and not go to the bathroom until the morning. So I, you know, stayed in bed until I fell asleep from being exhausted.
Did anyone else, like anyone you were with, see it, or like, did you hear anything about anyone else talking about seeing some like ghosts, or was this just something that you experienced?
Just from what I experienced, I remember asking like my stepbrother, because they kind of had the whole room set up. That divider kept one side boys, the other girls. So you know, I asked my stepbrother the next day, but like he was asleep, you know, and I was just like, you ain't see anything, you ain't wake up at night, see anything at the pilgrim retreat, and he's like, no. Not at all. So, like, from what I know, everybody was just asleep. There was no movement other than me.
And where did you say this pilgrim retreat was? Was this did you used to live in New England or something, in the New England area? Was this?
No, this was because I used to live in New York. I moved to Florida like 4 years ago. So this was back when I was living in New York. It was, I can't remember exactly where. For some reason, I want to say like towards Albany, New York.
Sure.
But
damn.
Now, did this apparition or anything, did it look at you, or was it paying attention to you, or was it doing its own thing? Like, was it not really aware of you and was just walking down the stairs, or did you get the distinct impression that it was like it knew you were watching it?
Yeah, I see. That's at the while it was walking down the stairs, it seemed like, yeah, like you said, it felt like I was watching it or something, because it didn't look at me until she got all the way to the bottom. She's like, or to the top, the last step. There you go. Like, she didn't hit the very bottom, but she got to the last step of the staircase, and she stopped. And then that's when she just looked at me. You know, so it was just like, you know, I had the feeling like she either felt like she was being watched or she just, you know, knew.
I got fucking chills. I got chills just imagining that.
It's terrifying, man. I know this. I've seen. I watched Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Sarah Ravencroft. She was scary as hell. Don't ever go to those places. You're asking for trouble.
Imagine that ghosts get the same feeling when we watch them as when they watch us. The ghost walks up the stairs, it sees the kid watching the ghost, goes like, "Fuck! What the fuck is that?
Fuck, you can see me?"
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, that's the alternate reality version of ghosts. Like maybe
I guess
maybe
if you're saying that it's like a different dimension. Like if that's a different thing, and it's like a little, you know, a thinning of the veil, and there's some like this person in whatever 1800 is walking through there and looks and is like, what the hell is that kid doing there? And like looks again and it's not there. Like maybe you're getting some like cross interference. Like, right? Like, that's an interesting theory.
That kid's wearing some weird clothes. What the fuck is that? And then, like, the ghost looks back and you're gone?
Oh, that's spooky.
Yeah.
Ghosts are
I
scared
would
of you.
love to find out. I'm definitely going to be doing so much research as I get older and, you know, get the money to try everything. Shoot, I would love to find out what's going on.
It's question old as time.
Oh, yeah.
Hey man, I know you got another story, but we got people on hold, so we're gonna save that one for another time and make sure to call back.
If it's another ghost one, next week we're doing Ghosts and Paranormal. Call back next week.
Awesome, I will. Thank you guys.
Thanks, man. Thanks
Beautiful.
for the call.
Take care, brother.
It's terrifying.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Ghosts, yeah. That's something I've always thought, like,
especially Puritan spooky ass witchy ghosts. Like, nope.
Yeah.
Go turn butter somewhere else.
You see the ghost, but the ghost sees you. Who's the ghost to who?
Turn butter?
Yeah, churn butter.
Turn. All right.
Shit.
Call 3. Hello, Cosmic Channels.
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear us?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Oh yeah, we got you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, all right, awesome. Hold on. I was on my phone and the computer trying to get through, so I'm going to hang up here.
Right on.
Okay, now I can hear you, I think.
Game in the system.
Game in the system, yeah. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Well, it cut off. I called earlier and it just hung up on me, so I thought might as well do it twice. Okay. So you can call me Curly.
Curly.
From Las Vegas, Nevada.
Curly?
Las Vegas.
Yeah, I missed you guys. I was listening to your podcast out of order, and then by the time I found out you came out here, it was a year later.
We'll be back.
So,
We'll be back. We'll be back because I want to see that old Elvis impersonator again, sing karaoke with him again.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so I had a lot of stories, but then actually something happened 2 days ago.
Perfect.
Oh, freshie. Fresh. Do we have a fresh story alert? Hot off the press.
Yeah,
I need a horn here. Bam, bam.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was actually unnerving. I woke up to it. So what happened was I was asleep. So this is January 29th, Friday. I wrote it down, kind of followed you guys' guide so I don't get lost.
Thank you.
So my wife heard it first. I was sleeping. We were downstairs in the living room, and she said she heard screaming, what sounded like screaming from far away. And she kind of, sometimes we have people who are kind of walking around kind of drunk. So she just kind of dimmed the lights, turned off all the lights in the house so nobody would call any attention to our house. We're kind of facing the street, so you can kind of see us from the street. So, she was like, okay, whatever. Neighbors are mad, something. She just turned it off, didn't want to bother with it. About 5 minutes later, she heard something that sounded more like, she described it as like an ambulance, kind of like it was repetitive. It's hard to explain. What happened was after that, she woke me up like maybe 15 minutes after that because she was scared because it got closer and closer. And she heard it behind her house and then in front of her house. It kind of felt like it was going around the neighborhood. And when she woke me up, it was like 11:30. What was that?
Like circling the block kind of thing?
Yeah, but it was too quick. Because when I woke up, it was like 11:30, and she told me, hey, do you hear, she was watching TV. She's like, do you hear anything? And I was like, no. I'm like, I just woke up. She turned off the TV. kind of told me to calm down for a second, and then I heard it, and it was the weirdest, most unnerving sound I'd ever heard. And I kind of froze, and she just looked at me and she said, "I'm scared." And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "I don't know. I've been hearing it. I thought it was screams." And then it sounded like, some weird, I actually recorded it a little bit later, because when it was happening by our house, I felt it. Well, not felt it, I heard it, but it was a weird sensation. I've never heard anything like it. And I thought maybe it's someone burning tire, because from far away, it sounded like someone was doing donuts. So I'm like, oh, maybe somebody's car, but it came back real quick around the back of the neighborhood and then above and over. And it almost sounded like something was flying above our heads. So I thought it was like a drone or something, but the sound is just weird when it's close.
Weird.
So I recorded it on my camera.
Circle in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked out the window when it left. For some reason, when it was around us, I was too scared to move. I mean, I don't really think of myself as a scaredy cat, but the feeling just kind of froze me. Like I wasn't sure. My dogs and my cats were all in the living room, and my dogs are barkers, man. They'll like bark at anybody. You close your door too loudly when you're outside, they bark. So, and then when they heard this, their ears went up and they looked around, but nobody made a sound or a peep, and nobody moved. So that kind of freaked me out too.
So everybody was kind of scared still.
Yeah, we didn't move.
And there's something unnerving about like a loved one turning to you and saying like, I'm like legit being like, I'm scared. Like that's unnerving in itself. You're like,
especially when it's your wife, because then you have to kind of be like, well, I'll fucking step up.
Fucking do something about it. Inside, you're like, I don't want to do anything about it.
Like, well, I'm fucking scared too. What do you want from me? Like,
I was genuinely terrified for a couple of minutes. It happened for about 10 minutes, and I just sat there. She sat there, and the dogs and the cats didn't move, but their ears were turning. And then after it kind of went away, I opened up the back door, the back sliding door, and I was like trying to see if anybody else was outside or anything, but everybody's lights in my neighborhood was off, it was Friday night. Usually there's parties and stuff going on, but everything's just off. The lights are off. Everybody's like asleep or something, or I don't know. And I was like, this is weird, but there's some cars driving by the main street. So I'm like, maybe it was a drone. I don't know. Maybe some weird drone. So I went upstairs, I got my camera, and then I heard it again. It's an old camera that I have laying around. It's not very good. So I popped open the window and I just started recording. And actually, I thought about you guys, because I was like, hey, I should probably try to record this if I hear anything. And then I heard it, split open the window and recorded it. It's like less than a minute long. I don't know if I could, you probably hear it if I press play here. I don't know if you guys want to try to hear it.
Yeah, put it on next
we
up to the
gotta
phone
hear
for
it.
sure.
Yeah, I'll let me see. I talk a bit. My wife came in a little bit after. Let me see.
You can hold up the.
There's a weird noise that
You hear that?
Yep.
you kind of hear.
Okay.
Sounds like whistling, like cars, kind of, but it's not.
That's fucking terrifying.
You
Give
hear
me a whole body chill. The fuck is that?
It's like in the.
It gets closer.
I mean, you can kind of hear. Sounds like cars are peeling out, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Did you hear that?
oh shit!
Did you hear that?
Sounds like a theremin, kind of.
Yeah.
Super strange.
What the?
Move.
Use the other camera.
Time to move.
Holy
Get out.
fuck.
Get out.
Yeah, time to move.
Use the other camera.
Oh,
Yeah, it's weird. It's like vibrating almost. Like it's a weird sound, but
At first, it did sound like peeling tires, but then it gets weirder as it
and it
goes
gets
on.
super weird. It's like fucking like
yeah, it's
supernaturally
A
like.
banshee.
It's a fucking banshee.
It's a banshee.
Yeah, that was
A
fucking
banshee?
weird. Can you send? We should get that. I want to listen to
Can
that
you
better.
can you
better
can you
quality.
send it? Can you send that sound
Yeah.
like
Email
to
it
us,
to us.
to our email?
Yeah.
yeah. Through Gmail. So which email?
Yeah, send it to cosmicchannelspodcast@gmail.com.
Cosmic. Okay.
And if that doesn't work,
Is
you
it
can,
Or send it to us on Facebook or
anywhere
or
you can.
something on
Yeah.
Facebook
Anywhere
Messenger. Anyway,
socials.
we want to hear the We need our audio producer there to break that down.
I'm gonna dissect that.
Isolate some sounds. That was fucking terrifying, dude. It gave me a spine shiver.
Dude, it was creepy.
Dude, just listening to it right now just made me feel like, oh my God, like I don't know.
So what do you think it is? Have you talked to your neighbors? Did your neighbors hear it? Like, what do you think? What's your explanation for it?
Dude, I'm a closet shut-in. Like, I don't go outside. I don't even have social media. I found you guys by accident.
Awesome.
As most people do.
Well, no, I mean, like, I was looking for stuff, to listen to, because I was a huge, fan of, like, listening to, like, podcasts, like Art Bell, stuff like that.
Right.
And, like, I'm just like, I want to find something. You popped out. I listened to you, hook, line, and sinker. I've been listening ever since. It's really awesome. But honestly, like, I don't go outside. My neighbors don't really talk to me. So I kind of want to ask someone, but nobody really is ever outside.
Okay, I want to play a sound. This is from a trail cam of a screaming banshee. I want to see if it's anything similar. Here it goes.
Okay.
That's not
quite the same. Not quite the same.
That's not the banshee sound I was hoping for. I think there's got to be more. Here's another one. Oh, no, I can't play that.
That's a band.
That's got a band.
Copyright flag. We're done. Buddy, we're done.
Show's over.
We're done. Show's over.
Everything's lighting on fire. It's
Can't
over.
do that.
Anyways.
No, I didn't realize this was the season finale.
Yeah, see you later.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard whistle tips before?
A whistle tip?
Like they go woot woot.
Yeah.
Right? They give that woot woot.
That's what it kind of sounds like.
I don't think it does. I don't think it sounds like a
I don't know how
whistle
long
tip.
has it been since you've heard the audio from that Oakland news clip.
Let me tell you, that didn't sound like a woo. I never heard a whistle tip and been like, got shivers in my spine.
Yeah,
it's very much like whistle
actually,
tips to me.
it sounded different when it was closer, but I didn't pick it up. When it was closer, it sounded like almost like a screaming kind of thing, but it wasn't. Obviously, nobody was yelling or screaming. It was more of like a. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so I'm getting kind of.
It's definite creepy sound.
Terrifying.
Yeah. But we got a lot of people saying they're on hold and they're getting dropped. So we're gonna keep the calls moving. But yeah, if you can send that sound to us, I'd like to maybe boost some stuff up, see what we can analyze on that. That's
get
pretty
down
cool.
to it. We'll Shazam it and see what pops up.
Okay, yeah, for sure, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Good night.
That was a creepy sound, gotta say.
That was
spooky, man.
It sounds like whistle. I don't know if I need to hear the full audio, but it does sound like whistle tips.
I don't even know what
a whistle tip is.
Yeah, what is that?
They go woo woo.
They don't go.
What is that?
They go like they make the sound.
I need some explanations
They
here.
make that woo woo.
You got like a fucking DJ bird. What?
Have you never seen that video of the guy doing whistle tips?
No, I don't know.
It's
What is a
fucking-
whistle
dude,
tip?
it's
Type it into YouTube.
It's
Whistle
these thing-
tips.
it's
like
these things
Oakland
you type
News,
into your muffler.
It's really funny.
Okay,
And they
well,
make
Oh,
your
it's like,
muffler
is
like
that one of those
whistle.
things that people do to like a fucking shitty 94 Honda
yeah,
Civic?
Pretty much.
Yes.
It's a mod. It's something. It's like a attachment you put on your muffler, and it makes like a really high pitched, like screaming noise.
It's those pricks that you pull up to them again on a red light and they're like looking at you, revving their engine. You're like, come on, man.
all right, we got
What do you want from me?
another caller. Hello, Cosmic Channels.
Hello there.
Hello. You made it through.
Hi, guys. Long time listener, first time caller, as is protocol for these situations.
Of course.
Yeah.
This is Chancellor Johnson. I've been in the chat a little bit on YouTube. I also
I've seen you see a bunch. You're always active. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I've messaged you guys on Instagram a handful of times. I want to preface this whole scenario by apologizing. I have not been able to get that drawing of Bulkhead Bill. I've been trying really hard to get that done, but
You'll get
the
it.
Bulkhead Bill is, oh man, that's a long time coming.
Anyways,
excited.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Iowa, Midwest, USA.
Right on. And what do you got for us tonight?
I've got a little bit of a Ouija board story, so this one's for Andrew.
Perfect.
I don't like those ones.
Andrew, you should call in with yours one time.
No, fuck that. What about me being traumatized by my friends who I'm supposed to love and trust? and appreciate like my brothers, but instead they betrayed me.
That one.
Yeah. You're talking about Vermintide games, or are you just talking about Ouija?
No, I'm talking about the thing that keeps me up at night with my lizard brain. I'm tormented. I got PTSD from that shit.
Anyways, let's hear your Ouija.
Okay, so this took place in, I think, the end of 2012, so like September, October. And at that time, the temperature was still pretty close to like summertime, so probably 22 to maybe 20 degrees Celsius at the time. So, pretty warm, and I was really getting into like the paranormal investigation kind of stuff. Like I had this old crappy camcorder, and I'd go out to like cemeteries and be like, I'm hunting ghosts, guys. And I had this friend who had a Ouija board, and I was like,
was it by Hasbro? First off, we want to make sure it was legit.
It was a legitimate Hasbro Ouija board. Yes, we made sure that it was working properly.
Those are the only ones that work. It's copyrighted.
That's it.
Oh yeah, the copyright is the magic.
Yeah.
So, this was like in the middle of the week. He's like, "Yeah, I've got this Ouija board," and I was like, "Okay, we have school. We can't go out and like, do it like in the middle of the week. So let's do it on the weekend." And then the weekend came around, and I was about to head out to hang out with my friend, get something to eat before we go summon demons. And my mom was like, where are you going? And I was like, for some reason, I was compelled to tell the truth. I don't know why, but I was like, just going to go play with the Ouija board.
Oh, man. That's how you get the shoe, dude.
Yeah, for some reason, moms hate Ouijas. All moms.
My mom lost all color in her face, and she kind of just stood there for a second, and she looked very scared. And I noticed that, and I was like, is that okay? Like, Mom, what's up? And she waved for me to come join her. And she said, no, I can't stop you, but you be careful. And it was like one of the most serious voices she'd ever pulled on me. It felt more serious than the time I overcooked the macaroni. So it
it's bad.
resonated.
Just interject really quick. How old are you?
I am, speaking of age, I am about to be 24 in like 3 days.
I'm going to tell you right now, that makes a lot of sense, because the older generation moms, they could stop you. And they're going to stop you with fucking violence and whatever the fuck they can do.
Oh, if I had tried to pull that on my grandma, no, she would have been like, get the belt.
Yeah.
But, no, so I was like, Mom, what's going on? And she tells me in like this very serious tone, you be careful. And I was like, why? Like, it's just a game. It's just a Ouija board. Like, what's so wrong about that? And she said, and I'm not going to be able to say it word for word, so I'll paraphrase, but basically back in the 80s, early 80s, she was young, I think high school, maybe slightly younger age. She and a bunch of her girlfriends at the time had a sleepover, and they too had a copyright Hasbro Ouija board, and they performed a seance, a ritual, what have you, and one of them did the one thing I believe you are never supposed to do, as I've heard with Ouija boards, and that is ask the Ouija board when you're going to die.
Oh, fuck.
Don't put ideas in Zell's head, man.
This is a great idea.
No, it's not.
So this friend asked the Ouija board, when am I going to die? And it started to move around the board, and it gave a series of numbers. And all my mom and all her friends were like, numbers, like, what does that mean? And one of them said, oh, maybe it's a date. And they're like, oh, funny joke, haha, who's moving the board? And they put the board away, and they never thought of it. Years later, and they were not quite done with high school. They were probably 17, 18 years old. That friend that they'd grown up with died in a car accident.
No.
Really, really randomly. Like, the car was out of nowhere. It was like a hit and run. And she died at the exact date and time that the numbers spelled out on that board.
So they spelled out like a year, a month, a day.
Yeah.
And that
What was the date
corresponded
and
to the
time?
death.
It was sometime in the late 80s. She never really told me much about it because it severely freaked her out, and like I didn't want to push her.
No kidding.
But so the second part of the story is my dumbass decided, hey, that's a great story. I'm going to go play with the Ouija board now. So basically, you know, we went out to this park, like a town park, late at night. No one was there. It was like, weirdly, it was one of those parks that's built very close to a cemetery, as you do with like small towns in the Midwest. You know, because you want to be able to play next to grandma's, you know, coffin. So
makes it more legit.
Oh yeah. And so me and my friend set up on a picnic table, and we've got like 2 flashlights just kind of aimed roughly at the board. And we're very cautious. We're very like, okay, I'm a little spooked. You're a little spooked. Like, how is this going to go? And so we ask, like, is there anyone here? And so the reason I brought up the weather earlier on in this conversation is because it was a very warm night. It was still like a good evening temperature for like late summer. And as soon as we asked, is anyone here with us? Both of us got so freaking cold. Like, I cannot express how much my teeth were chattering, just like clicking back and forth because I was involuntarily like shivering. It was so cold. It felt like something was reaching into my soul. It was that cold, like bone chilling. And it was weird because not like 30 seconds before, it was warm enough to be like in t-shirt and shorts. And then suddenly it was like, I feel like I need to have a winter coat on. It's insanely cold. And the board, the planchette moves. Yes. I look up at my friend and I'm like, this cannot be good. And so we ask, how do we know you're here? And the board spelled out C-A-T, cat. And I looked up at my friend and I was like, cat, like, is that a person? Is that your name? Are you like Catherine or something? Is it short for Catherine? And then behind my friend, and the reason that this is so messed up is because I wasn't moving the planchette, and my friend wouldn't have been able to look 180 degrees out the back of his head to see what I saw over his shoulder, to be able to spell it out and prank me, you know. And over his shoulder, I see crawling out of the like fencing that separates the park from the cemetery is this mangy looking old dusty cat. And it just lurks closer and closer, and as soon as it gets underneath the sort of like spotlight of a street lamp, so that orange glow is hovering over it and it's cast in shadows, its eyes just flash like bright yellow. And I know cats' eyes are reflective, and it's if you shine lights directly at like cat's eyes,
but still in the fucking moment, that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
that's when you go to goodbye. Just right away, just bye. Thanks anyways. I don't need to hang out with Salem the cat. Bye.
The other thing about it is the cat was staring at us. It wasn't looking up at the light. There was no light aimed directly at the cat. So how did its eyes glow at all?
It's fucking demon cat.
Because they're demon eyes.
So I saw the cat, and I told my friend, there's a cat behind you. And he instantly was like, nope, I'm out. Took his hands off the board. And I was like, what are you
That's a
doing?
smart friend. A smart friend.
Buddy, I'm Usain Bolt. I'd be out of that fucking place, breaking records.
So I was like, thank you, Spirit, for the informative lesson tonight, but we got to go leave now. And so I packed up the board, And I was like, do I take it? Do I leave it? What do I do with it? And he's like, I don't give a crap. Leave it for all I care. And I was like, fine. And then even though I said fine, I had it in my hand, and we made it all the way back to the car before I was like, I'm still holding it. And he's like, get rid of it. So I left it on the trash can at this public park, and we like just instantly slammed the car doors and just gone. We were gone.
So you didn't close
it.
You didn't
close the board. You didn't close it properly. Some other poor soul is driving up to go visit a grave, and they're hearing Jumanji drums because of you.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you got kitties after you now, man. You better watch your back.
Where's the Ouija? Where's that Ouija board now?
That Ouija board was left on that trash can that night, and since then I have not seen it again. So it's been almost like 6-7 years.
Oh, some poor kid took that Ouija board home, and God knows what happened to him.
Yeah.
That's a freaky story, man. That's a freaky Ouija board.
The thing about Ouija board is, I think why we maybe haven't had as much success, and Andrew, this is no knock on you, but I think we have had it where it's like people don't want the board to work. I'm not pointing fingers at you, Andrew. I'm not pointing fingers at you.
Listen, you can point the fucking finger at me because you guys force me to fucking do it. You don't want me to not want it to work. Don't invite me. I'm fucking fan. You're always like, you have to do it. I would 100% be glad to sit that fucking shit out. You brought that shit on yourself.
Yeah, that's a creepy Ouija story, man. Oh,
yeah, it's creepy.
The thing is that that's not my only paranormal story, but I figure I can maybe call in next Sunday at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time.
Holy, look at this guy. He's writing ads for us.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, paranormal ghosts. Make sure call back next week with the other story.
Yep, definitely, man. Thanks for the call. That's awesome.
That was a
Thank
joke
you guys so
Ouija story.
Love you guys. Peace out.
All right, man. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Wrong on.
Bye. Fucking terrifying.
Hey, smart guy playing a Ouija board, cemetery. That's what I've always wanted to do. We haven't done it yet. But
playing it in the fucking woods where people have been murdered wasn't good enough for you?
That was pretty good.
I think what we're missing is we need Fred Gwynn, and so he can tell us sometimes dead is better. Don't want to go up there. Don't be playing with the Ouija board in the cemetery. That's where the old Wichita Indians were vampires and used to eat the children with no eyes. Don't want to go up there.
That plays in my head. That's what plays in my head every time you guys want to play that fucking shit.
Oh, that's good shit.
Single me out. Go ahead, single me out. Leave me out. Do it all.
Yeah, we do. Let's bring another caller in. Hello, Cosmic Channels.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
How are you? Thanks.
We're doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. It's a snowstorm. That's always nice.
Damn winter.
Yeah, fuck the snow.
Yep.
I hate it.
Anyways, what's your name?
I kind of like it. My name's Renee.
Renee from where?
From Virginia.
Virginia. Close to old Danny boy.
West Virginia?
No, I live there too.
Nobody who says Virginia is from West Virginia.
Are you the mountain mama?
I've lived on a few. I don't have that many cats yet, so we're good to go.
There you go. Anyways, what do you have for us?
Actually, I'm probably not too far away from Dan, so he might be familiar with the locations I'll talk about.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I have a really peculiar story. It comes in 2 parts, and I've only heard you guys talk about something similar about one time, so I'm very curious about your thoughts.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So I read your cues on how you're supposed to explain stories. So this first part happened in Leesburg when I was a kid with my dad. And so I guess it's something to do with a time glitch or of some sort. I'm not really entirely sure. Cool. I know you guys are almost done with the show, so I'll try and make this go quickly.
No, it's all good. We're in no rush.
No rush, yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the first story, I was really young. I was like 7 or 8. And there was like, I lived in a neighborhood that was kind of bordering a forest. And at some point they wanted to extend the neighborhood. So they had bulldozed like a road of sorts in the grass to try and separate where they would continue excavating. And my dad and I were like, okay, let's explore it. You know, we have nothing to do. It's Saturday. So we're walking along for a while. And at some point we come across like a farm clearing. And it was really peculiar because it just felt weird. But when you walked into it, on the left-hand side, there was a hedgerow of Osage orange trees, which was really strange because they were super tall, like pine trees, which is unlike them because they're normally short and squat brush trees.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time. It just seemed really weird. And then on like somewhere around the side, there was a farmhouse. And on the other side of the clearing was like a little shed. So we walk in and we're like, oh, this is interesting. It's totally abandoned, whatever. And we go up to the shed and I'm about to open the door. And my dad's like, don't fucking touch that. I'm like, what? And my dad was like a huge dude. I mean, he was like, you don't mess with him. He was just not afraid of it. I've literally never seen him afraid in my life. And he was like, don't touch that. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I think we need to get out of here. Let's run. And I'm like, what? I've never seen him run away from anything. So my little childish self is like hauling to get out of there and running after my dad, which was so strange. So we get back to our neighborhood and my dad's like, whatever you do not go back there. I'm like, yeah, totally. Yeah, of course, whatever you say. So a couple days later, I get all the kids in the neighborhood together and I'm like, hey, you guys, I got something.
Let's go back.
You guys want to see a dead body?
Yeah, I was going to be like, this is a Stephen King story or what?
Yeah. Is this you're basically telling us how you're a liar and you lied to your father.
Well, who doesn't at that age?
Yeah,
I mean,
good point.
You know, yeah. So we all get together and we didn't even go like a mile down this whatever. I mean it was very notable, like we didn't spend much time. So me and the neighborhood kids keep walking and we walked like the entire street that had been bulldozed and there was absolutely no clearing. There was no farm, there was no remnants, there was no Osage orange trees. It just didn't exist.
Weird.
So
what?
That was really strange. And my dad, so he worked for Cold War intelligence in the Air Force and had a lot of stuff in his head that he could never talk about, but he was like a diehard atheist. And the only thing that he certainly believed in was aliens. So he was full of a lot of different stories. And I don't necessarily think aliens have anything to do with this, but I definitely think it's really strange. And yeah, so that's part one. And then part two happened when I was 27. I'm 30 now. But this is one that I'm not entirely comfortable talking about because people are really skeptical and I don't know how much I was influenced, but you guys have talked about psychedelics before, so I don't feel like there's much judgment in this story.
No.
Nope.
Okay. So this happened on Mount Weather, which is one of the president's bomb shelters in Northern Virginia. And it's a really sketchy place. Like, for instance, one time with a different vehicle, I had driven through and there's like a little bridge that has a camera on it. And I jokingly, while on the phone, was like, smile at the camera and just did a really snarky face. Within moments of passing that bridge, like two black, not SUVs, they were like Toyotas or something, but two cars showed up behind mine and were like zigzagging between the lanes and trying to speed up and like basically run me off the road. But yeah, when I got to the highway on the other side of the mountain, they left me alone and it scared the crap out of me. Like I didn't want to go back until I got a different car. But on the same mountain is part of the AT, the Appalachian Trail. So there's a lot of offshoot trails that meet up with it. So I had a couple girlfriends who came in from the city and they wanted to go hiking. And there's trail right across from the military center called Holler Brook, and it's an offshoot from the AT, but it has a really cute waterfall. It's like you walk for a couple miles and you get instant gratification and it's good to go. So I thought, okay, this is where we'll go. So the idea was to take mushrooms that day, and I hadn't had mushrooms for like 6 years at that point. And I definitely think your tolerance grows, but at the same time, if you go a lot of years without doing so, it dwindles. And I was also told a long time ago from some spiritual woman that ancient tribes would always, they would use psychedelics in order to enhance their visions or whatnot. But one should know that 3 weeks after the fact, your entire perception is going to be altered. So to do everything really carefully. I don't like pushing buttons, but I feel like there's a lot of valuable information in experimenting. So that disclaimer over. And the one took 3 grams. I took 3 grams, and then we had our designated driver who just did 1 for the time. And it was kind of like November, so it was really chilly, but it wasn't, freezing. It was in the 40s or whatnot. And we get to the little waterfall area and we're having a good time, and it's nice and it's afternoon. Good to go. It's a very simple trail. You just walk straight for a while. You get to the creek with the waterfall, and then there's an overlook you can go to a little farther down. But it's super simple. I've been on this trail millions of times. So we decide, okay, we're done with the waterfall. Let's think about going to the overlook. We got halfway through the way and we sat down. We were really lazy. We're like, fuck it, we're not going to the overlook. But it's starting to get dark and we decide to turn around. So the really strange thing is, there's no alternative path in this trail. You just go straight and you turn around. So as we turn around and we're going back to where we think the creek is, it's getting darker and we don't find the water. It's not there. It's we're on a completely different trail, which is really peculiar. And everyone kind of at this point, we've been out there for a few hours. It's not things are going too crazy in our minds. It's not we're seeing anything, but we're just not on the same trail. And I've been on this trail plenty of times. So I'm bashful to tell this story because I feel like people would instantly think that I was influenced by the mushrooms, but this is a really familiar place. So it was just, anyway, so it's getting dark and we're all kind of just anxious because we should have gotten back to where the creek is by now. And my one friend is like, look, we're lost. I know that if you can't find your way, you need to listen to wherever you can hear water. So we're like, okay, fine. So we're really quiet for a while. We keep walking a bit. And finally, we catch a sound of the stream. But it's really strange because we've been on the same trail. We should have been at the stream 30 minutes prior. And we get to the stream, but we're much farther down the mountain than where we started, which also doesn't make any sense. So we continue following the stream and we finally get to the waterfall. And what's really strange about the waterfall is 20 yards above it is where they have the ranger station, all the people for rescue and whatnot. And I've gone to that during the day a previous time. But we get to the waterfall and we had only been out for what seems I don't know, maybe an hour. And the entire waterfall was completely covered in ice. It had been freezing for days. It was not the same scene that we had left when we kept walking. I don't think that a waterfall can get covered so thoroughly within an hour's time.
Right.
So we think that's really weird. And once we get to the waterfall, I'm okay, I know the way out. I got this. Let's go. And my friend's like, no, we are calling the Rangers. I don't trust you anymore. This is not happening. Yeah. So, I just let them do that because on the way up, the other friend of mine had fallen in the creek and busted her knee open. It was just a complete crapshoot. We just, whatever they want to make them happy. So we call the Rangers and I'm mortified because I've been on this trail a million times. I'm really embarrassed that they feel the need to call the Rangers. And of course, while you're in the mountains, service is really bad. So it was really hard to make a connection with them. But I know that right above the waterfall is the ranger station. So I'm there shouldn't be any problem. So we get on the phone with them and we're talking, and the phone call keeps going in and out of the reception. And they're like, okay, well, we want to, see how close you are to us. And I'm like, we're at the waterfall. And they're like, okay, we're just going to put out some sirens. So based on where you hear the sirens, we'll know how close you are. And I was like, okay, fine. So what's really strange is I know their location. And as they put the sirens out, you could hear the sirens over the phone, but you couldn't hear them like in the environment that we were. Like, we should be hearing these sirens like right above our heads, but it was completely dead silent, and the only place we could hear the sirens was through the phone. So it just kind of seemed like we were in a completely alternate reality. It feels really strange to describe that, but it felt like we were in a completely different space and time. And then the Rangers decided to come down to where the waterfall was, and we decided to walk up. And as we're doing so, there's kind of like a cloudy mist out, and then we meet up with each other and everything's normal. And none of us were tripping at that point. We were just like freezing cold and ready to go home. But I talked to some of the Rangers there, and I'm like, look, I've been on this trail like a million times. Like, I really have no idea how we got lost. And he's like, you'd be surprised. People get lost up here all the time.
Weird.
And that's it. My story.
The one thing I will say about being in the woods is I'm a hunter. I hunt quite a bit. One of the areas that I've hunted a lot, I've seen a deer and I kind of went off the trail a little bit and mist, like you said, mist rolled in. And I literally, couldn't have walked more than 100 meters off like where I knew the trail was. And this mist rolled in, and I kind of got turned around. And the next thing you know, I was like, I have no fucking idea where I am. I was like, I'm so lost. And I like walked, I was like, man, I am lost in the woods. This is insane.
Why are you talking like that? I'm lost in the woods, and I don't know where anybody is.
That's just exactly what I was like, help me. It's terrifying, and I will like, to your credit, 3 grams of mushrooms isn't that much mushrooms. Like, I mean, I've done that amount and had a good time.
It's a good amount, but not too much.
That's not too much. So people who are inexperienced, that's not too much. You're not going to another planet on that much. So it's like, when you tell me that, like, you've done this trail a lot and it's that amount, I believe you. I don't doubt you for a second. The one thing I do want to quickly ask you, though, is, have you talked to your dad since about the first story?
He has been deceased for a super long time.
Oh, sorry.
But
sorry to hear that.
He never, we're not talking sob stories. Like, he was a badass, but he like would never talk about that again. And what's also interesting, it's not completely related, but I grew up, like, Dad had a bunch of really strange stories, and on another time I could call with a few others, but you guys mentioned the whole Charlie Red Star, which I had never heard of prior, and I grew up with him telling me this story of like the red eye, like something he saw when he was a kid with a whole bunch of friends, and it like, so he was definitely aware of things that he just felt like he couldn't talk about. And I think it was mostly because of his clearance. Like, he just,
right.
I don't quite know how to describe it.
No.
Like, he wouldn't want to talk about that. And
being lost in the woods, that's an interesting one. Like, honestly, the time slips in the woods. I don't think that's something that you've, like, you're alone. You're not alone in that scenario. Like, I felt that same way in the woods of like, you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I've been here a million times. I felt that.
Well, this was the one thing when you're telling that story about walking in the woods, you said it was not freezing. It was cold, but it wasn't freezing. And then you mentioned the waterfall being frozen?
Like, completely, like, water was barely dripping out of it. It was full of water.
Now, had it been, like, in November, so it might have been freezing some nights, but to freeze a waterfall solid, it's got to be, like, below zero for an extended period of time. So that, like, did anyone else notice that? Like, did you mention that to the Rangers or anything, or, like...
Yeah, I didn't want to talk to the Rangers too much because I didn't want to allude to the fact that we I just didn't want to discuss too much with them. I just,
Yeah.
But all the
hello,
girls
officer. We're on illegal
terrified.
hallucinogenics.
Right. Yeah. Can I have some water and a blanket? Can't go wrong there. But when I told the girls about the experience I had when I was younger, all of them felt like it was a very similar thing. Like everyone related to the fact that it didn't feel like we were in the same forest. Like it kind of felt like we were walking in circles a lot. And I'm not sure, when you mentioned the fact of going hunting, the trail that you were on, was there a lot of switchbacks that could have made that more difficult?
No, the trail I was on was like the easiest trail you could be on of all time. It was like straight downhill, and I walked off it like 100 meters. But like you said, mist came, and then I got turned around, and I could not, for the life of me, like even retrace my steps. I was like, I do not remember where I came into this, and I was like, none of this looks familiar, and I could not find the trail. But the fact that you were on the trail and you're having these weird things is crazy. It's a crazy experience.
Yeah. I mean, I really felt awful for my friends to like come out to my area and then I get them super lost. But it was very similar, that this trail is like, there's no switchbacks. You literally just go straight in and you turn around. And the fact that it took us so long to get to the creek when we really hadn't even gone, it's only about 2 miles to get to the overlook. Like, it's not like we were doing any extensive hike.
Right.
Do you guys think that second experience is similar to the first experience, or do you think that they're completely different?
I mean, it's hard to say because, I mean, if you're in some sort of like time slippage or something, you're saying it. Did you guys lose a lot of time? Like when you got back and you saw the time where you're like, how are we hiking for this long? Because I'm like, if we're getting into the realm of like, maybe it was aliens or something, or some thinning of the veil, it's like, possibly. I mean, why not? I mean, it sounds like two areas where you were somewhere familiar, something strange happened, and like, have you been back to the forest since that hike?
I have, during the day and very briefly. It was weird because the person that I brought the second time just didn't want to be there. Like, we got there and like they just felt the need to leave. So other than that, no. It's really, when you go down the gravel road, it's really steep. So depending on the conditions out, it can be really hard to get back up the hill, unless you have like an awesome 4-wheel drive vehicle. But then I also like speculate, because this area is so government oriented, like there's so many stories about that mountain. Like apparently the facility goes like 40 stories deep, and there's elevators and like a restaurant inside. And I've heard some people who worked for FEMA who worked inside the mountain that said that they would build a space like a hospital that was totally functional, and then within a few months they'd completely shut it down and no one's allowed back into the facility, and they'd build another one, and this is like all within the mountain. So if you go up there, like your phones are totally tapped and there's no privacy. But this area is really notorious for having a ton of cave systems. So I don't know if there's like a way that one could manipulate the environment around you. I don't know how far-fetched that is. But also, I've not heard much about time glitches in general, and like whether it's influenced by aliens or whether it could be a veil, and like where's the line in between all of that.
Right. Definitely a couple interesting stories sharing some similarities. We got to wrap this episode up here pretty quick, but what do you think? Do you think it was time warp, or what do you think exactly?
I don't know. I was calling more to ask. Like the first one I think is totally bizarre, and I was definitely sober, and my dad was certainly way more affected to that. And I don't know why he didn't want me to touch that door. It's like, is it like a thing that you can end up getting stuck in a certain reality if you alter it too much? Is that even a thing? But then the second one, I didn't know how much validity it had because I was on mushrooms. But like you guys have said, like, it really wasn't that much. and a lot happened in what felt like a short amount of time. But I mean, we started around 2:00 in the afternoon, and it wasn't done until like 8:00 at night on a 2-mile hike.
As far as mushrooms go, I mean, 3 grams can be not that much, or it can be an extreme amount depending on, you know, what type of mushrooms you take. And
I guess
the one thing with mushrooms that, you know, for the time of missing time or seeming time to pass by slower or faster, is that you could be on mushrooms and you think you've been tripping for like hours, and you look down at your clock and it's 15 minutes. So like, I think when you do mushrooms or hallucinogens, time seems like how we perceive time when you do that stuff completely goes out the window. In like my personal experience, and you'll go for a hike and you think you've been hiking for hours and it's like been 20 minutes, or you think you've been hiking for 20 minutes, it's been 3 hours. So I'm not saying like it's all to do with mushrooms, because 3 grams is not that much. You might be seeing some stuff, maybe not, just having a good time, having some laughs. So, but it is weird. The frozen waterfall, I mean, I'm still hung up on this, is that like, if it wasn't freezing out, to freeze a waterfall solid, it's got to be cold. So if that was like, you stumbled into something, all of a sudden the waterfall was frozen, but when it shouldn't have been, I mean, that for me, that's one of the things that sticks out. But we gotta wrap this one up. It's gone longer than we normally would, but that was a great couple tales. We appreciate you calling in, and make sure to check out our schedule and call back another time. All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time.
All right. Have a good night.
And let's not forget, so next Sunday, February 7th, 6:30 p.m., same cosmic channel, same cosmic time. We're talking about ghosts and paranormal activity. Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, we want your thoughts on the Elisa Lam case. Mm-hmm. Sunday, February 21st, we're going to be talking UFOs and aliens. We want to know about your UFO encounters, sightings, thoughts on aliens. And then the last Sunday of the month, February 28th, we're back to open lines, any topic we want, we'll take any call, whatever you want to call in about.
No holds barred.
No holds barred.
No.
Every last Sunday of every month.
But just remember, the dream police are always here. So we get too many dreams.
They live inside of your head.
Dream police. All right, guys, let's wrap this one up. Make sure to go search Cosmic Channels on Facebook, or we don't think we have Instagram yet. Facebook for sure. Instagram's coming. Twitch, YouTube. Watch the show live if you're just listening to the podcast version, and make sure to call in Sundays 6:30 1-833-703-0424. I know people are calling, but we got to wrap this one up. Save them for next week. Bye. Cosmic Channels is brought to you by Big Theory Productions. The Cosmic Channels are now closed.